Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Paskatyade Satarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Prabhadakacharya Asadhara Satushi Shiman, His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Smaraj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Haribo, Slava Zarani Bhakta, Slava Shri Guru Shri Gurangi. Om Agana Tumanandasya Gananjana Salakaya, Chaksur Militam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam, Stavitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam, Yadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shigaro Shiyuta Parakamalam Shigaram Vaishnavam Scha Shirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Vrijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakanzitam Scha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabando Dagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prashubhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakapa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, text number 8. Vihi pashami mama panudyad. What's this? Am I in the wrong place? 55. I have this nice verse too. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Parata Manogatan Admani Vatmana Tushta Stita Pragya Satochite Shri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partamanogathan Anmani Vatmana Tushta Stita Pragyastatochite Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajati Yadakaman Sarvan Partamanogathan Admani Vatmana Tushta Stita Pragyastatochite Bhagavan Uvacha Prajati Yadakaman Sarvan Partamanogathan Admani Vatmana Tushta Stita Pragyastatochite. Ladies. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Pradayati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partamanogatan Admani Vadmana Tushta Sita Pragyastatochite. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajati Yada Kaman Sarvan Partamanogatan Admani Vatmana Tushta Stita Pragyastatochite. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Prajati gives up. Tada, when? Kaman, desires for sense gratification. Sarvan, of all varieties. Partha, Osana Prita, Manaha Gatan, a mental concoction, Atmani, in the pure state of the soul, Eva, certainly, Atmana, by the purified mind, Tushtaha, satisfied, Stita Pragya, transcendently situated, Tada, at that time, Uchate is said. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Please repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Purport. The Bhagavatam affirms that any person who is fully in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord has all the good qualities of the great sages, whereas a person who is not so transcendently situated has no good qualifications, because he is sure to taking refuge in his own mental concoctions. Consequently, it is rightly said herein that one has to give up all kinds of sense desire manufactured by mental concoction. Artificially, such sense desires cannot be stopped. But if one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically sense desires subside without extraneous efforts. Whereas one has to engage himself in Krishna consciousness without hesitation. This devotional service will instantly help one onto the platform of transcendental consciousness. The highly developed soul always remains satisfied in himself by realizing himself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. Such a transcendently situated person has no sense desires resulting from petty materialism. Rather, he remains always happy in his natural position of eternally serving the Supreme Lord. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Prajahati Yadakaman Sarvan Parthamanogathan Admani Vatnana Tushta Stita Pragastatochite. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of sense gratification, all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Satarane. Here it mentions about desires for sense gratification. We know that Vacha Vegam, Manasukroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udrapasta Vegam, Etan Vegam, Yovasheta Hetira, Sarvan Apimam Prativim Sashishat. One should give up the urge to speak, the mind's demands, actually not give up. One who can control the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the forces of the tongue, belly, and genitals. He can make disciples all over the world. So this is called Vega, pushing. And we've also heard in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna says, when Arjuna asks, what is the reason why we know we're supposed to do something, but we don't do it anyhow? We do something else. Ever have that experience? Oh, okay, good. As a matter of fact, that verse is repeated twice in the Bhagavad Gita. Shreyam swadamo viguna paradharmat sunustitat. Shrey dharme nidanam shreyak paradharmo bhayavaha. That it's better to give up, well, actually, chapter 3, text number 34, 35. It's far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faulty, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction, the cost of performing one's own duty, is better than engaging in others' duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. In other words, if we want to get out of the cycle of material desires, then we have to do our duty. Of course, people don't know what their duty is. They think their duty is to maintain their body as the primary duty of life. But actually there is other duties besides that. There is, according to the Varna and Ashram system, there is duties for sacrifice for Vishnu. And at the same time maintaining the body. The Shudras would assist, the Vaishyas would grow the food, and from the food, including maintaining the cows, then they get the milk and the butter for the sacrifice. And from the sacrifice performed by the Brahmins, chanting the sacred mantras, then Vishnu would be satisfied, and Krishna says all good things would come to the society. Rain would come specifically. So, can't complain that it's raining. Someone performed some sacrifice. What's that?
I can't complain. I was wet today.
You can complain.
Yeah, I was wet.
You were wet. Anyhow, we should chip in and buy you an umbrella. At least a raincoat. So, rain is considered auspicious because in the Vedic culture, consciousness was considered advancement, not, as Prabhupada said in that lecture we heard a couple of days ago, bricks and stone and wood, building stone and wood as material advancement, but a higher consciousness, and therefore they were blissful. Like in the spiritual world, there's no economic development. If you go there, don't expect any advancement. There's no new iPhone every year. There's nothing like that to look forward to. The only thing to look forward to is Krishna coming back from the pasturing ground. But Krishna is a reservoir of unlimited pleasure, and therefore there was unlimited advancement in pleasure when Krishna was coming, when the residents of Vrindavan would experience Krishna coming back from the pasturing ground with the calves and the cows, then their pleasure would increase unlimitedly. So if one's not interested in unlimited pleasure and varieties of taste, then you might as well stay here and look forward to the iPhone 25 or the end of Kali Yuga model. We have little pygmies cranking something up, sending smoke signals. But that's not really advancement. Technological advancement is a kind of advancement, but there's a price to pay for that kind of advancement. You can't breathe the air, you can't eat the food, you can't go to sleep, you can't think straight. but you have a nice phone. If only they can make a phone that when it doesn't work anymore, you can eat it, then it would be practical. Vanilla phone, chocolate phone, something, something that would actually have some real value to it. Unfortunately, all they can do is get together bricks and stones and wood, or different types of metals, put them together, and fool people into thinking that they're actually advancing. Therefore, to advance, here it says, prajahati yada kaman. The real thing is to get free from lust, anger, and greed. And in order to do that, the preliminary thing is to find out what we're supposed to do. If we don't find out what we're supposed to do, our minds will tell us what to do. If we ask our mind, what would you like to do when we have some free time? Otherwise, people are just working and working and working, and their boss tells them what to do. So that way their minds are kept busy. And then when they go home, most people, they ask their mind, what should I do? Should I watch television? Should we go to the movies? Should we go to a restaurant? Should I go to sleep? I'm just getting tired thinking about all the things I can do. I think I'll just go to sleep. Nothing about discovering themselves, nothing about higher consciousness, because they're not trained properly. They don't know that actually training the mind, disciplining the mind, is the purpose of human form of life. And in order to do so, we have to find out what is our duty, what are we here for? How many people get up in the morning and think, what is the purpose of my life? What am I here for? What am I supposed to accomplish? What is really beneficial for me? So that's what Krishna is just saying. We should understand what our thoughts are, whether they're actually beneficial for us. Whether there's not some higher purpose in life other than to just work hard, get money, and then utilize it to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Now, when we hear a verse from Bhagavad Gita, we always have to remember the context in which it's being spoken. Otherwise, we won't understand it. So the context is that everyone actually has a duty. Even if we're not in the Varnashram system, our duty in Kali Yuga, our only protection, is to always remember Krishna and never forget him. Other than that, we're being bombarded. And in the previous yugas, believe it or not, there was no internet. If you want an internet, you have to skip 3 yugas. Come back in Kali Yuga every time. There were no cars. There was no engines like we have now. Even whenever they describe the unidentified flying objects, they're not like our planes. They don't seem to have any engine in them. They just kind of like float around. So this mechanical age of Kali Yuga, which we're so proud of, that we made so much advancement, but at the cost of our own purpose of life. And it's only by propaganda. I mean, every year nowadays, to me at least, it looks like every car looks about the same they did the last year. I couldn't tell, because I'm not very good at telling cars, but it looks like they're always the same. They just get worse. Previously, I remember when my parents got the first car, it was more like a tank than a car. Nothing could dent it. I think an elephant would get knocked over if it ran into it. And there was a mechanic, there weren't so many mechanics because there's not much to go wrong because they were really simple at the beginning. And they're just made out of, steel. And now, everything is so sophisticated that if something goes wrong with the car, you got to buy a new one. Some spark plug goes off, then you got to go to the mechanic, and it costs you as much as the car costs to get it fixed practically. What to speak if you get a used car. So, to find out what our duty or our dharma is, what we're supposed to do, and then we have a choice whether we're going to do it or not. So now that we can't perform the duties very specifically in Varnashram, that we have to learn how to chant Hare Krishna and perform devotional activities, devotional service. If we don't do that, then we're at the mercy of our minds. That's all right, because that's how things work in Kali Yuga. As soon as we're at the mercy of our minds, then immediately we notice things are not going in the right direction after some time. In the previous ages, if you went off, it was a little at a time. But in Kali Yuga, if you go off, you really go off. Because we don't notice that as devotees as much as other people do. Because they're always, more or less, they go from one materialistic state of consciousness to the next. So they don't know that they're material consciousness because they can't see any difference. But Krishna is advising that we take to the process of devotional service, and then if we want to make advancement, we have to check where our mind is going. And if we're able to withdraw the mind and bring it back into Krishna consciousness, then we can actually make real spiritual advancement. That is, we can actually remember Krishna. If we hear about Krishna and then we actually try to just hear, then eventually remembrance will come. Remembrance of Krishna. Just like when we're observing the material world, then automatically remembrance comes of so many things that we've done in the past. As a matter of fact, our whole material existence is just is a result of memory. Everyone we look at, everything we see, just automatically brings into mind some memory. And then either it produces happiness, attraction, or repulsion and misery. So in Krishna consciousness, when our mind becomes purified, we see Krishna everywhere. And Krishna is all beautiful, and everything becomes beautiful. So there's nothing you look at which is not encouraging and beautiful and inspiring. And everything is clear exactly what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to say, what we're supposed to think. Everything becomes simple and clear. Then there's nothing to worry about. Could you imagine if you woke up every day and you were younger? You looked in the mirror and you didn't recognize yourself. You think, wow, now I'm a kid again. So that's the spiritual world. Every day someone wakes up and they look in the mirror and they're younger than they were yesterday. They're more attractive. They're more inspired. Everything is more beautiful. Everyone is nicer to them. And one is nicer to everyone. So that would be a nice place to go to. And that's available to everyone if they just purify their minds. We don't even have to go back to the spiritual world to do that. We just have to get rid of this covered mind that we have so that the real existence can actually be revealed to us again. In previous ages, it was more difficult because you had to go through karma yoga or jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga. And now we just have to chant Hare Krishna. And then our minds will gradually get purified. And then everything will become wonderful again. And not only that, but we'll actually want everyone to become Krishna conscious again. Because then when someone is happy in the spiritual world, their happiness radiates and it makes everyone happier than they're happy. And when the person becomes happier by seeing someone else happier, then the person who's happy becomes even more happier, seeing everyone else happier. And when one observes someone and admires how beautiful they are in the spiritual world, then they become more beautiful. And when they become more beautiful, then the person they were admiring admires them, and they become more beautiful. So everything is ever increasingly wonderful in the spiritual world. Everything is always fresh and new. That's because there's no material covering. And even the material world, as one advances in the mode of goodness, things get nicer. But they never become completely spiritual until we take to the process of devotional service, and then the mind becomes completely purified and cleansed. And the nice thing about it, this process, is that once it's begun, eventually we'll reach perfection. Everyone will reach perfection that takes to the process. It's just a matter of time. Therefore, we don't have to worry about anyone. We don't have to be envious of everyone. We don't even have to correct anyone. We just have to inspire them to chant Hare Krishna and perform devotional service, and they'll reach perfection. And that's the best thing that can happen. That way our wicked minds will not think, oh, this person should do this, or this person should do that, or this person's going to get a reaction for insulting a pure devotee. Me. That there is nothing to worry about. Everything's all right. We don't have to take the job of the super soul. He's doing a good job. But we should just try to give Krishna to everyone that we meet, somehow or another. And that would be nice. That would be good for us, and it'll be good for everyone else. And we don't have to become great scholars. If you meet someone on the street, you don't have to quote Bhagavad Gita to them. Just giving them the Bhagavad Gita is good enough. You don't even have to tell the devotee. If you just tell a devotee Hare Krishna, that's good enough. Dhruva Maharaj, when he was getting on the plane to go to Vaikuntha Loka, namely Dhruva Loka, he didn't know what to say. He was so overwhelmed by seeing the residents of Vaikuntha coming with their Vaikuntha airplane. So he couldn't figure out what to say. And he just said Hare Krishna. That was perfect. So even when the Vaikuntha airplane comes and picks you up, just say Hare Krishna and it'll be all right. They'll let you on. You don't have to show them your neck beads or how many rounds you chanted that day. Just say Hare Krishna once and you'll be fine. In other words, our job is to purify our minds. If we do that, however we can, there are 9 processes of devotional service, then what we're doing is perfect. We don't have to have, of course it's good to fill out your sadhana sheet. Because otherwise, the mind says, oh, it's all right, you don't need another check. Well, put the check even if you don't come. It'll be all right. No. It's just to encourage us to engage our wicked minds in devotional service. Because our mind, when it's not engaged, will tell us anything. Therefore, just to encourage us, at least we get a check. And the result is that check will be one step closer to Krishna Loka, one step closer to Krishna, and there can't be anything better than that. So we can appreciate the checks we put down, because every check brings us closer to the Supreme. All right, I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Each time I go on the Harinam, every Saturday I go once, thank you, on the Harinam, and I feel if I am sincere and fixed up in what I am doing in the temple and my service, I feel it reflects on the people even more.
Of course.
It reflects on the people, especially in a place like Madrid. The people are just spontaneous anyway. They're always dancing and, and jumping up and down, no? Yeah.
Well,
it's very encouraging.
What maintains his body is the soul within the body. Now, we don't do the activities in the material world or the spiritual activities performed by the body, but we maintain the body with our consciousness. Therefore, the body appears to be alive when the soul is there, because the soul gives off heat and light also, just like the sun. So the more the soul comes in contact with the super soul, then the more it glows. It radiates. The body is not an obstacle for the soul's radiation, because the soul's radiation is transcendental. And when the soul radiates happiness, then everyone becomes transcendently happy to some degree or another, according to their receptivity and according to the power of our transcendental bliss that we have. So when we go outside, of course, people they get affected, sometimes even more than we get affected. But I remember seeing Srila Prabhupada in the airport. I mean, you can see even tapes of it, videos of it. When people were there, when people would come to the airport sometimes, just regular people, they'd start crying. They didn't know why they were crying, because Prabhupada was emanating transcendental bliss. And it was noticeable. When Prabhupada walked into the Boston Temple in 1969 when I was there, everyone in the temple was actually in Vaikuntha. A completely different world. Because Prabhupada was actually in Vaikuntha. He was in Krishna Loka. Wherever he went, he brought Krishna Loka with him. So we can bring a little bit of Krishna Loka too. We just say Hare Krishna. And something's there. May not be, but even a little spark, a little piece of gold is also gold. May not be the whole gold mine, but it's still valuable because it's gold. So Krishna consciousness is gold. And even if we bring a little bit, then people get something of value. And when we see people, just like when we make new devotees, we think, wow, the process actually works. These people, someone's taking it seriously. Maybe I should take it seriously too. You see the enthusiasm of new devotees, you think, wow, I wish I was that enthusiastic. Maybe I better start taking my devotional service more seriously. So when we go out and we distribute books and we see, wow, this person actually stopped and he took the book and he's interested. Maybe I should read the book. There must be something in there. Therefore, when we see the effect that it has, we go out, we see that people are affected by it, then we actually think, wow, there's something in this process. There's something, and then we get encouraged to follow it also. That's why Prabhupada came to the West to spread Krishna consciousness, because the people in the West were considered so fallen at that time. And when Prabhupada made them into devotees, then the people in India thought, wow, the Westerners became devotees. Maybe we should become devotees too. There must be something in the process. My grandmother followed it. My mother followed it less, and I'm following it even less. But these Westerners, completely divorced from it, they're taking it seriously. They have everything I'm trying to get, and they're giving it up. Maybe I better take it up again to find out what they have. Maybe my grandmother was right. So that's the beauty of going out, and even meeting people who have no idea what we're doing, and suddenly they get they get transformed immediately. They think you realize you're an instrument for Krishna, and there's something powerful there that's affecting people. You start thinking, wow, I'm obviously not doing this, because 15 minutes ago I couldn't do anything. And now suddenly I'm transforming someone's life. 15 minutes ago I couldn't even transform my own life. Now that I'm out here doing some service, distributing these books, somehow or another I'm empowered by this energy. I don't know where it came from, but it's actually affecting other people too. So there must be something in the process that works. Anything else? Yes.
Gurudev, you were saying that we just need to chant Hare Krishna. We don't need to correct anyone. It's just once people on
your son you have to correct.
So, daughter, yeah. So, they're on the path of perfection. They'll get there eventually. But yourself, you're like, you're the sannyas minister for ISKCON. You see more than other devotees so many problems in the society, issues and conflicts maybe between devotees, and then how can it be so simple that we don't need to worry about any of that?
Well, Krishna may ask us to do something, but I remember when my roommate and myself were living, I was chanting. When I first started to chant, I was chanting 25 rounds a day. And with my roommate, I was going to visit. I lived 20 minutes away from the university I was attending, but he wasn't going to college at that time. But I went with him to his home. Actually, and when we got on the bus, I was chanting, and I noticed everyone became more friendly. So I said, well, that's amazing. And then when we got to his home, this was actually Jagadish. It was Jagadish Maharaj. His sister and his father were arguing with each other. And I was chanting, and suddenly they made up. So I said, well, this is a pretty powerful process. I better take to it. Then I decided, then I noticed that as soon as I started chanting, everything became more confusing to me and everyone else. So then I thought, well, I better move into the temple. Because otherwise, if I stop chanting, I'm in trouble. So we should chant Hare Krishna. As far as it's our duty to do something, we may have to do that. But we should be aware of the fact that we're dealing with Krishna's eternal servants. And not get excited about getting the opportunity to correct them. Because we may correct them in a way that we'll get into trouble. But if Krishna desires, just like Vasudeva. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's father was Jagannath Misra. Jagannath Misra, one night he had a dream. Well, actually one day he chastised Nimai very strongly. And that night he had a dream. And in the dream a Brahmin came and said, Nimai Pandit, there's no need for you to chastise your son. Jagannath Misra, there's no need for you to chastise your son because he's self-effulgent. He knows everything. And Jagannath Misra said, no, it's all right, whoever he may be, whoever Nimai is, he's my son. And it's the duty of the father to correct the son. And the Brahmin said, well, no, you don't understand who he is. He's the supreme. He knows everything. There's no need for it. So Jagannath Misra, no, you don't understand either. He's my son, and it's my job to correct him. So all night long they were arguing in the dream. And in the morning before Jagannath Misra woke up, the Brahmin smiled and left, happily left. So sometimes it's necessary. Anything else? Khala, Grantaraj Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
When do, for breakfast?
which